Oh, yeah, baby. It is game day here on Game On Wisconsin. We're getting you ready for the Eagles, the Packers kicking off in 1 hour. Jimmy Christensen, Jacob Westendorf with me. I'm Alex Strofe. Going to be taking you through the next 45 minutes as we try to make sense and break down this matchup between the Eagles and the Packers coming up soon. Let's do it.
We 19. We 19. Listen to the Listen to the Hey, Rex. Rex. Yeah. We 19. We 19. Can't. Oscar. Turbos and East right flop, B right all the way outside, Y left, fake 396 bag, B hand, C puck. Is that long enough for you? 319. Check New York Bozo! New York Bozo! New York Bozo!
New York Bozo! New York Bozo! Happy game day, ladies and gentlemen. The Packers, the Eagles kick off an hour from now. And we're kicking off the pregame with you. This is the PreSnap on Game On Wisconsin. I'm your host, Alex Strofe, hanging out with me, as always, to my, that'd be what, my right, but actually, I don't know what it is. I'm just done talking. That's Jacob Westendorf, though, top right corner. Hi, Jake. How are you, buddy? Oh, no, we can't hear you. What's going on?
I like this.
Oh, I muted myself. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Stroof, for letting me in. It's good to be here.
Jimmy, I agree. I like it better when Jacob can't talk, but I like to listen to you. How are you?
Oh, stop it. I'm good. I'm surviving. You guys might hear some random banging in the background. If that happens, I'll mute myself like Jacob did. My wife is on a real home improvement kick right now.
Oh, okay, home improvement kick. What's being improved?
So we got new carpet in a room. We got dishwasher. We're putting new numbers on our house because we haven't had any numbers on our house for like 2 months because I just haven't put it up.
So when you order delivery, or do they always get lost or what?
No, we're Amazon regulars, so I'm pretty sure they just know our house at this point.
Yeah, Amazon regulars. Yeah. Well, good stuff. Good for you on having a wife that is handier than you. That doesn't shock me at all, but nonetheless.
Oh no, she's definitely not. My dad's here, so.
Oh, gotcha.
I drilled my hand earlier on accident. Oh, no. It was kind of embarrassing. But don't worry, I got
with a drill.
Oh yeah, like with the drill, I cut my hand.
That just doesn't shock me. That's a very Jimmy thing to do. It didn't shock me
either. I did. I was like, yeah, I expected that. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes a hell of a lot of sense, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, good stuff. We got a football game to pay attention to. The Packers taking on the 3-7-1 Eagles at Lambeau Field. Packers 8-3 in second place in the NFC, looking to keep pace with the teams that are up there. They want that coveted 1 seed, as we've talked about all season long. They're in position to get it, and they've got the third easiest remaining schedule in the National Football League, and that starts today at home against the Philadelphia Eagles, who by no means have been good this year. I mentioned the record 3-7-1. Their quarterback situation has definitely been up in the air. Their offensive line is no bueno. Jacob, I mean, you've had a week to research the Eagles a little bit. Where are you at with this Philly team?
They're talented. I mean, I look up and down their roster and I'm thinking like they should be better than what they are. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of like their quarterback is broken. And I mean, that's not the only thing that's wrong with them. Obviously, they're missing 4 of their 5 starters on the offensive line from early in the season. That's obviously going to be a problem. But when the quarterback is kept clean, he throws the ball to the other team. And that's a problem. And Carson Wentz it's not that long ago. 2017 wasn't that long ago. He was an MVP candidate. He was the next guy or whatever you want to call him. The Eagles were this rising team. I thought they were going to be a really good team this year and have an opportunity to do that largely because of my belief in Carson Wentz. Their defense is still really talented and they have played really well. They held Seattle's offense relatively in check on Monday night. So that'll be an interesting thing to see because from a talent standpoint on the offensive side of the ball, Seattle probably has a little bit more talent on the offensive side of the ball than the Packers do. But Green Bay's had a better overall offense from, wire to wire here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And they're peaking at the right time, it seems. We saw what they were able to do against Chicago a week ago. And, I look at it. We'll get to our keys to the game, much later. But one that I'm going to bring up is the fact that the Eagles haven't scored 30 points this year. The Packers, we've kind of made their season mantra, if you will, about scoring points and consistently scoring points. 30 has been that number we've talked about a lot, and the Eagles haven't hit that threshold once this year. So that's probably a key to victory. But Jimmy, curious to hear what you know on the Eagles and what you're looking for in this one.
Yeah, Jacob already kind of said it too, that they have enough talent on the team to be much better than they are right now, or you'd expect them to be much better than they are right now. But when a quarterback's playing at a Mitch Trubisky level, it's just you can't really do much. And right now they're just kind of fluttering and still somehow in the hunt to make a playoff run. But the key to me is just going to be stopping Miles Sanders. If they get him going, and obviously that's what we say every week whenever there's a talented running back, but if they want to have success, it's going to be running the ball on us. So that's going to be a big focus of the game. And thankfully their offensive line sucks. So that should be a little helpful for us.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see if they change their game plan from what it was a week ago against Seattle. I think Seattle and Green Bay are comparable teams in the NFC, at least I would argue, right? Not great defenses, solid offenses. And Philadelphia only gave the ball to Miles Sanders whopping 6 times last week in their loss against Seattle. So if they continue to do that, I imagine it'll be no problem for Green Bay. It might be a little bit of a cakewalk if they're not going to utilize Miles Sanders, but I imagine he'll have a higher workload than last week. You'd agree with that, right, Jacob?
Yeah, I would imagine. They elevated Jordan Howard, which had everybody on my timeline freaking out last night, which honestly, the Eagles giving the ball to Jordan Howard is doing the Packers a favor, in my opinion, because it's taking the ball out of the hands of Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. But I know Howard had a big game against the Packers last year. He's played well against Green Bay in the past. They get Zach Ertz back today. They'll probably run a lot of 2 tight end sets and try, at least you would think they're going to try and do that 2 tight, ram the ball down their throat thing. But ultimately against the Packers, you're going to have to keep pace. The Packers score points, and that's something that coaches around the league, they lose patience as far as committing to the running game. And against Green Bay, it's hard to try and commit to shortening a game that way, because now not only that, shortening a game, sure, it decreases your margin for error, but it also decreases your possessions against the Packers, where if they score, 4 or 5 times, that's 28, 35 points. They do something like that. And Green Bay certainly has opportunities to do something like that today too.
No doubt about it. Noted by our buddy Mike in the chat, no Austin on returns today. We were hoping to see maybe new Packer Tavon Austin back there, but won't be doing it. Jimmy, the Eagles quarterback situation is abysmal. Carson Wentz has not been good this year. 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. For reference, Aaron Rodgers has 33 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. We are spoiled. But Carson Wentz, he took accountability this week, talked to the team, said, a lot of what's gone wrong this season is my fault. Do you think maybe he can spark kind of the old Carson Wentz, the MVP-esque Carson Wentz we're used to, or do you think it's just all downhill from here for him?
Honestly, I think this season's just going to be what it is for him. I don't see how saying you know what, guys, I've sucked is going to all of a sudden be like, I'm going to start playing better now. So it's good he took accountability, but that just has to improve. And one big disappointment too, and a lot has to be on the quarterback for this one, but Rager was kind of drafted because of his speed and be another explosive playmaker for them. And he hasn't really done anything. And Wentz hasn't done well getting him involved. So I'm a little nervous with him and his speed. But again, with Wentz, he's only 7 for 19 when he targets Rager for like 10 yards or deeper. So he's just not, you can't be successful if arguably your number 1 wide receiver weapon right now, you can hardly connect with him. So Wentz, I'm glad you realize you suck, but I just don't see that changing this season.
I'll throw it out there because he was taking first-team reps last week, and we didn't see him against Seattle, but maybe we will see him against Green Bay. Jalen Hurts, former Alabama and Oklahoma quarterback, is their backup. They spent a higher draft pick on him this past year. Any chance we may maybe see him? And I'm not talking in terms of an injury. I'm talking in terms of a benching.
Yeah, they've done some wildcat and like special type stuff with him, but I don't know. I'm always a believer of pick a quarterback and play him. And if they're going to do that, then they need to play Jalen Hurts or they need to play Carson Wentz. But the reality of the situation in front of them is that Carson Wentz has a $60 million dead cap hit if they move on from him. So they can't move on from him for at least 1 or 2 more seasons, putting Jalen Hurts in now, do you shatter Carson's confidence for the rest of the season and then move into next year with, I mean, you're not going to have a $60 million backup. That's not going to happen either.
That's true.
So it's kind of like everybody's calling for Carson Wentz to be benched. The best long-term play for the Eagles, honestly, is to have, well, hopefully they're going to hope that Carson Wentz can play better and they can win this year's division because every team hopes to make the playoffs, obviously. But benching him is probably the worst possible thing they can do because then you either have a $60 million backup you can't move on from. If Hurts plays well, that's awesome. I mean, then you found a quarterback, then that's obviously a great thing. But a $60 million backup that you can't move on from, that's a tough spot to be in. I think what you're ultimately going to see at the end of the year is the Eagles are going to flounder for the rest of the year. They'll finish between they have 3 wins now. They may get a couple more between 3 and 6 wins. Let's just give them that many.
Yep.
And Doug Peterson will get fired and they'll bring in a coach that he'll be tasked with resurrecting Carson Wentz's career. And that'll be his job.
You think Doug Peterson's gone after this year, huh?
I think that's the only option they have. I mean, I know he won the Super Bowl,
right? And
he'll be a legend in Philly forever for that. He had the gumption, the guts, the whatever you want to call it, to call the Philly special on a 4th and 1 in the Super Bowl. That's as gutsy as it gets. They've made the playoffs each of the last 3 years, but last year they weren't very good, and they kind of made the playoffs with a little run at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I still think Peterson's a really good coach. But there's been some reports that maybe he's kind of burnt out and he's hit his peak, his potential, whatever you want to call it. And if Carson Wentz isn't going to play well, then, those two are kind of tied together from that standpoint. If you're picking between the coach and the quarterback, well, the $60 million quarterback's not getting released.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I don't know. I think, with him winning the Super Bowl, I think that makes getting rid of him that much tougher. I mean, we saw it with McCarthy. We let him have a few bad seasons before the Packers finally got the kahunas to say,
well, they had also the built-in, idea that Aaron Rodgers was hurt during a given season.
Right.
Whereas now they don't have that built-in excuse for him because Carson's played each of the last 2 seasons. They did make the playoffs just last year. I know that, but you could even see just this regression a little bit. Wentz didn't play all that well last year until the very end of the year. He got injured in the playoffs, and then they were playing with Josh McCown. They honestly didn't stand a chance of winning that game. But if you have to pick between the quarterback and the head coach, something has to change in Philadelphia. I think that has been made clear, but unless they win they have 5 games left, so where they could finish 8-7-1. If they win those 5 and win a playoff game or something like that, maybe that could be something like 2016 where Rodgers went supernova and kind of saved everybody's job. They're in that 2016 run the table run. But I think Peterson's a good coach. If you had asked me, coming into the season, it was like Belichick and Reed at the very top. I could have made a really strong argument that Doug Peterson was right after that. And I think like I said, I think he's a good coach. Sometimes you run out of time. It's very similar to what happened to Mike McCarthy here in Green Bay. It's a real long time. Well, McCarthy was here about twice as long as Peterson's been, but you just run out of time. And I think that's what's happened.
Wow. I think that's interesting. I appreciate that angle. Good stuff. Well, I guess that's really all we need to know on the Eagles offense. Fletcher Cox is a go for the Eagles defense today, so their middle will be plugged up a little bit. But I imagine this is going to be one of the games where the Packers are creative on offense. I mean, they are every game, or at least they try to be. But I think this is a heavy running back usage, maybe not as high scoring or fast pace, but more, calm, cool, collected offense where we see a lot of Jones and Williams today. What are you guys expecting out of the Packers offense against, frankly, a just Eagles defense? Jimmy?
Hopefully we can get the run game going. Last week we saw Jones and Williams both have really great games. Yeah. I always love seeing Williams get in the end zone and do the dance. So hopefully we can see that again. But I really think this is going to be more of a passing attack on this one. I think they'll try to run the ball. But that defensive line with Fletcher Cox in the middle is a really strong one. And I don't know. I think Rodgers is going to eat him apart. He's going to get his 400th touchdown this today and just kind of eat him way through the air. I think we'll try to be committed to the run game, but I just don't see it working out too well today. But, I really hope I'm wrong.
No, that's totally fair. Tyler Ervin is active. Sorry, that just came out, so I want to bring that up because he plays such an important role For the Packers, obviously, both on special teams and the ability and the versatility he brings to the offense. Any high expectations for Swerve in his first game back?
He's one of those guys that, like, you don't realize. Mark Eckel said this on Packer Report. I think he put it perfectly. He's one of those dudes that you don't realize how important he is until he's not there. Yeah. And I think that's part of the motivation for the Tavon Austin signing. I know people are going to be bummed that he's not playing today, but it makes sense. He's practiced with the team, twice?
3-4 times, yeah.
Yeah, he hasn't been in Green Bay for very long. I imagine you'll probably see him next week, give him a chance to get comfortable, get his feet wet, everything like that. But with Swerve, I mean, yeah, he's been an important, because there's really nobody, with the absence of A.J. Dillon, who's still on the reserve list for COVID-19. The Packers have 2 running backs that they trust. Mike Weber really is a break glass in case of emergency style of running back for them. And if that's the guy you're going to put in that role, well, now you have Jones and Williams on the field at the same time, and a lot. And it's hard to do that a lot when you're trying to protect them from injuries. You don't want to expose them too much, and then they got to do their regular running back stuff too. It's just a hard thing to do. So I have the expectation. It's a nice thing to have him back. It kind of gives, I think the Packers officially have all their tools in the belt, so to speak, now for their offense. So so that's something that they really haven't had, honestly, all season. So I look forward to that. You mentioned the running game. Honestly, I don't care. Throw the ball 50 times. Like, this Eagles secondary is terrible. And if the strength of their defense is going to be stopping the run, then don't. I like the Chiefs game plan last week against the Bucs. The Bucs are the number 1 defense against the run. So what did Kansas City do? They didn't even try. Like, they don't even care. I don't have to run. There's nothing in the rule book that says you have to try and run the ball. So throw it 50 times. Who cares? If that's your best matchup. Avonte Maddox. Do you guys remember Avonte Maddox from last season?
Yeah.
Devontae Adams cooked him for 180 yards in 3 quarters. He's playing today again, and he's starting. He'll play against Allen Lazard. They'll get him matched up against Devontae a couple times too. The Packers' matchups in this game are in the passing game. Yeah. So chuck it all over the lot. The wind's not howling. Throw it all over the place. Forget the running game. I don't care if it's December. Throw it all over the lot.
I'm with you 100%. I did a guest spot with the Philly Insider podcast yesterday, and we talked a lot about the matchup between Devontae Adams and Darius Slay, who's likely going to be on it today. I mean, there's some familiarity there, obviously, for both Devontae and, of course, Aaron Rodgers.
That's Devontae's child.
Exactly. I mean, I expect, maybe Devontae Adams is the star of the show today. I think that's a great point.
Yeah, I think he is too. And every time, my lasting image of Darius Slay against Devontae Adams is the Mason Crosby game, which I don't know if you guys remember that, but Mason missed like 5 kicks or something.
Burned it from our memories, man. That's gone.
Yeah, it was my bachelor party weekend that we did.
How was it?
So, yeah.
Mason Crosby ruined your bachelor party. Good to hear.
He did, but there's a picture that they took where a 5x7 frame doesn't have Darius Slay in the picture because Devontae is that far separated from him. Devontae has always played well against Darius Slay. Darius Slay can't cover him. My biggest concern on the Eagles side is Fletcher Cox is active. Brandon Graham is active. Those 2 guys can absolutely wreck a game. And with John Runyon starting on one side, I think he'll be fine, but then you have him and Lucas Patrick and Billy Turner. If those guys lose their matchups, it could be an interesting game on that side of things.
100%. And as you bring up the offensive line, we'll go to this. Yesterday, the Packers announced that center Corey Linsley has been added to the injured reserve list. He'll miss a minimum of 3 games. Elton Jenkins, the second-year guy, the freaking versatile Elton Jenkins, the Packer for life, calling it in year 2, Elton Jenkins, playing center. Yikes, he says. Playing center today for the Pack. He has been so darn good this year. He's played at every position on the offensive line. Only 1 snap at right guard, but damn it still counts. What do we expect out of our boy Elton Jenkins at center today, and really the offensive line as a whole, Jimmy?
With Elton Jenkins, I just expect the same with him. He's been consistent no matter where he played on the offensive line this year, whether it was left tackle, right tackle, left guard, center. He's been killing it. But our offensive line last week showed, even when they faced a talented defensive line, I know they didn't have Akeem Hicks in the middle, but they didn't allow Aaron Rodgers to get sacked 1 time last week, going against Khalil Mack on the outside. And Billy Turner's been really impressive this year, so I know it's another tough test, but we've shown time and time again, we protect Rodgers, minus that Buccaneers game. And I know there's other times he's been getting pressured, but last week gave me a lot of confidence in this offensive line, just being able to handle the Bears D line like that, because they did it in the pass protection and being able to open up the running lanes for the running backs. So I have all the confidence in the world in this offensive line. So I think it'll be another good game. Obviously it'll get some pressures because this is a talent. This is the defense. The Eagles defensive line is the most talented part of their team. So they'll probably generate some pressures this game, but I think the offensive line will do a good job of minimizing that.
It's been kind of a new thing as a Packer fan to watch the offensive line make some swaps, some changes, whether it be due to injury or just schematically, and not feel nervous. I mean, that's the first time I felt this way in a long time, and you're big shaking your head over there. So go ahead.
Oh
spiel.
my God. I remember the first pre-snap we ever did, the inaugural pre-snap. We were talking about Elton Jenkins playing right tackle, and I was like, oh my God, they've ruined everything. Just, Mike McCarthy used to do the same stuff, and he'd always say, we want the best 5 on the field. And that's how Derek Sherrod played guard in his rookie camp.
Jesus.
And I mean,
don't bring up that name.
There's just been a lot of different things where I just am in general, I am against playing musical chairs on the offensive line. And this year, the Packers, to their credit, again, not to keep bringing up Mark Eckel, but Eckel wrote a story for Packer Report about how Brian Gutekunst deserves some credit for how this offensive line is built. They've made it work. The Packers have used like 8 or 9 different offensive linemen this season. That is a nail in the coffin for a lot of different teams. And the Packers this year, they've just plugged away. They've made it work. I think back to the best offense we've seen for Green Bay in the last, 6 years? I suppose that's a pretty arbitrary point to make, but the 2014 offense is the best one that we've seen from start to finish. And what did that team have in common? Except for one game, Brian Bulaga didn't play one game, but from left to right, their starting offensive line played every single game except for that one that Derek Sherrod started in place of Bulaga. And that's usually a big deal. This year, for whatever reason, I'm going to be curious to see, next season, if fans in the stands maybe affect some of these players, if that has something to do with it, or from year to year, a lot of things are different, because Billy Turner is a guy who, coming into this year, I think if you had put some truth serum in all 3 of us, you would have said if the Packers lose games on, because of the offense, that dude's going to be one of the biggest reasons why. And he's been rock solid. Is he an elite tackle? No. He's number 1 on ESPN's pass block win rate. That's a big deal. That certainly matters. He's a little less highly regarded on Pro Football Focus, but as the eyes measure well. The Packers have done a good job of putting him in positions to succeed. This offensive line, in my opinion, from a pass blocking standpoint, when Lindsley's healthy, is the best one in the NFL. And that is going to be a huge deal if they can get Lindsley back for the postseason.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. And obviously he's on a contract year, so interested to see what they'll do with him come the postseason. Yeah, I think so too. I don't mean to change the topic too much, but it's very much worth bringing up. The New York Jets have scored 15 points in the fourth quarter to take the lead over the Las Vegas Raiders, 28-24.
No way.
With 5.5 minutes remaining. So Jets up 4, Raiders have the ball and are driving with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
So every Jets fan in the world has flipped over to the Jaguars game where they're currently down 5 against Minnesota, but driving.
Yeah, because
Jaguars get Trevor Lawrence.
This might not be the year.
Why? That'll be the end of Gardner Minshew. Well, granted,
no, we're going to bring you.
It's already the end of Gardner Minshew. What are you talking about?
No, never the end of Gardner Minshew. He's going to.
Okay, listen. Gardner Minshew is the off-brand version of Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's a mustached Mitchell Trubisky.
First of all, that's the most offensive thing you can say.
Trubisky might be better.
Yeah. Legitimately, he might be. He's actually had a decent day too. As the Bears on top of the Lions now, just 30-26, as Detroit just got into the end zone, a 25-yard touchdown pass from Stafford to Marvin Jones. So they'll be within a field goal unless they go for 2 here, with just over 2 minutes to go in that NFC North matchup. Dolphins on top of the Bengals, 19-7. Vikings on the Jags, 21-16. But the Jags are at midfield and driving with 6.5 left. Colts on top of the Texans, 26-20. And how about the shocker of the day? The Browns have hung up 41 points only 4 minutes into the fourth quarter on the Tennessee Titans, 41-21. I've been saying it all year. I'm just going to toot my own horn here. The Titans are frauds. I mean, they're just not as good as we thought they were last year, and as they've started off this year. I don't think they're a very good football team, and the Packers are just going to destroy them later this month.
I'm with it. I love it. I think everybody's too focused on Derrick Henry. So, I mean, that's cool. Derrick Henry's awesome. How are the Titans going to stop Aaron Rodgers? If somebody can answer me that question, then I will happily give you the, okay, yeah, the Titans are going to blow us out thing.
Yeah.
But otherwise, another good reason to follow Game On Wisconsin. Our betting guy, Matt Bove, did have the game of the year, Cleveland +6 against the Tennessee Titans, and would have said that is game of the year to bet on the Browns, and the Browns are destroying the Titans currently.
He took it +6. I took the money line, so I'm going to be winning a lot more than you would the +6.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. I took that all day because I definitely felt like the Titans. I just don't think the Titans are that good. What's special about them?
I don't think the Titans know if they're good or not. Ryan Tannehill is one of those dudes that, like, everybody says, oh, yeah, he's had such a good year, such a renaissance from last year and all that stuff. But, like, watch the playoffs last year. Yeah. If you watch the 3 playoff games they played in, his own team doesn't trust him. Like, I mean, obviously, yes, give the ball to Derrick Henry. That's a big deal. But, like, if your own team is basically saying, yeah, we only want you to, it's the same thing with San Francisco from last year with Jimmy Garoppolo. If they only want you to throw the ball 8-9 times, then they don't trust you either. So that certainly matters. Ryan Tannehill is one of those dudes. If we do like a trust tree in the postseason, he's going to come in at the bottom, towards the bottom for AFC quarterbacks, but still significantly above Gardner Minshew.
No, significantly. So is Mike Glennon, and like you said earlier, so is Mitchell Trubisky. Unfortunately, I never say Mitchell Trubisky is better than quarterbacks, but he's better than Minshew.
They're like this.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, they can be 32A and 32B. That's
all I'm saying though is Minshew will bring his beautiful mustache, his stretching into jockstrap, his nice suits. You're gonna have a lot of swagger on your team. So do
you only like him because he's the only NFL player as musty as you?
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
Yeah, there's no other reason I like him other than if we both walk in a room, no one's gonna know who smells worse.
Yeah, that's totally true. Uncle Rico looking asses. Yeah, hanging out, having a beer. I like that. Good stuff. Back to the Packers and the Eagles, though. Aaron Rodgers looking for his 400th career touchdown pass, going to, by far, if he throws 3 today, be the fastest quarterback to ever do that. So this guy just continues to be in the record books, and with 3 touchdowns, he'll be in it again today. So worth noting. Yeah,
he's one of the 2 most talented quarterbacks, along with Patrick Mahomes, to ever play the position. Yeah, I mean, and then his ability to avoid turnovers, which is funny because we're talking about that like it's a good thing now, but this time a year ago, television shows are saying like, oh, he's too careful. He won't throw the ball. He won't take risks. He won't put the ball in harm's way. It's like, that's a good thing. Like that's a positive. There are good things about that, but he's incredible. And we've been incredibly spoiled to watch him. He is definitely better than Brett Favre as far as all-time Packers quarterbacks. You can have your discussions about Bart Starr. I never saw Bart Starr play. Starr, obviously a 5-time champion and played on the leader of that 60s Packers dynasty. That certainly matters to some degree, but he is the best quarterback I have seen in my lifetime for the Packers and maybe ever. He's incredible.
100%. Chicks dig the long ball, and he's been throwing it at an unreal level this year. Jimmy, go ahead. Talk about Aaron Rodgers. I know we all like to do it.
You know, chicks dig the long ball, and so do I. So, no, he's been amazing this year. And I really wish I wasn't a person who, when I was pissed off at games, would just yell like risk something, throw the ball up, let a receiver make a play.
Yeah.
So I definitely deserve to be made fun of for that because I was one of those people. Not saying he was I guess I said he was too careful, but not all the time. No, he's playing at a ridiculous level this year, and it's nice to see him back to his MVP form. I just saw something that I think Maggie Looney retweeted it. It's when he gets to 35 touchdowns this year, he'll be the first quarterback ever to have it in have that happen in 5 seasons. Right,
hey fellas, I hate to cut this off, but we have a bit of breaking news from Rob Domofsky.
Oh boy.
This is the Packers are warming up with Elton Jenkins at center, Billy Turner at right guard, and Rick Wagner at right tackle. So that would mean Lucas Patrick is playing left guard, and John Runyon then would not get his first start.
Right. Against
today.
his dad's former team. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a bit of a bummer because that was a cool little storyline. And you would imagine this could be a bit of an audition, but from an experience standpoint,
I get it.
It makes more sense, obviously. You know, in the middle of a game, you probably don't want to play shuffle like that. like they would have had to last week. But this week, with a full week to prepare and everything like that, that makes some sense. But Jimmy, feel free to finish your point. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Pretty much I was saying Aaron Rodgers is great. Want to kiss him, love him. That's about it.
That's fair. And it's crazy because, you know, at this time last year, everybody says, oh, it's amazing that people ever thought that he was washed up or declining or something like that. At this time a year ago, I don't think that was a ridiculous opinion to have. Like, I think that there were at least some legitimate concerns while you're watching some of these games that, hey, not that he's not good anymore, but maybe he's not MVP level Aaron Rodgers anymore. What's happened this season, I think even the only people that could say they expected this were like the homerist of the homer Aaron Rodgers fans, which is cool. Like, I know those people exist, but you can't tell me that you watched last year's Detroit game in Detroit and say, nope, Aaron Rodgers is amazing. He's still Aaron Rodgers. Like,
what do you think you told the critics tonight? Congratulations, Aaron.
Yeah, kudos, 12, because I was one of them. I was one of those people. I absolutely said that maybe you're not the same guy anymore, but you could still win with him. And it's been incredible to watch him regain. This is the best he's played from start to finish since 2014.
Yeah,
I mean, he's been incredible.
He's in terrific form, and he's right in the MVP race, and the Packers right in the head of the NFC race, as mentioned earlier. Keeping an eye on that Saints game as they are at 9-2 and in first place in the NFC. They are up 21-16 over Atlanta with 5 minutes to go. It's only a 5-point game, and Atlanta has the ball and first down and driving. So anything can go.
They just fumbled.
Taysom Hill's gonna run for another touchdown.
Yeah, probably.
Atlanta just fumbled.
Well, that's no good. That's no good.
They got it back, but yeah, they just fumbled. So that's
Las Vegas in the red zone. I think 2-minute warning coming up. It says
the gold zone.
The gold. Well, that's for Green Bay.
Yeah, that's for Green Bay,
but not for Las Vegas. No.
Yeah,
it's not John Gruden's gold zone. I agree with that. What else do we know on the Eagles, boys? Before we wrap up and get to some of our predictions and picks, is there really a reasonable? You know, we were talking about the idea of a trap game yesterday when I did that podcast on the Philadelphia, and I'm not the biggest believer in that term. I'm not the biggest believer in what is the trap game, but this definitely feels like it has the makings of one. Maybe, right? I mean, the Packers have traditionally
Jets.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah.
Adam Gase gets his first win. He's going to cost him Trevor Lawrence in the process. What a guy.
He tried to lose. He let him get into the red zone. The Raiders just suck.
Man, the Raiders.
What happened there? We thought they were good. We thought they were 3 weeks ago.
Who's we?
Me and you.
No, we did not.
Wait,
It's weird though. They beat the Chiefs. They were really competitive in the second one, and here they are.
Yeah, really?
He said pass interference. So,
oh, damn it, Tyler. That's
Raiders don't suck. Yay.
Well, they still do, but
they still suck. They still suck. Yeah. Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Abram were both inactive for them today. So maybe
that matters. I mean, they have some decent players. I'm never going to believe in Derek Carr. I think he's somebody you can go like Mike Holmgren used to call him 9-7 quarterbacks. And I think Derek Carr is a 9-7 quarterback. I also think that I don't know if things exist from game to game necessarily.
Oh, man. Adrian Peterson just scored a touchdown for the Lions to take the lead over the Bears with under 2 minutes to go.
I'm trying to get Mitchell Trubisky a contract extension, so I need that comeback drive right now, Mitchie T. So get on it.
Yeah,
I think that to finish that point, I think with the Raiders, like from a week to week, it's almost like the Chiefs game was like their Super Bowl kind of thing. Like the way that I've looked at it, there was years ago, I remember when Dean Lowry was at Northwestern, they played Ohio State. Yeah. And they were winning that game from like wire to wire. And then Ohio State scored like 10 points in the final 4 minutes or something like that. And then Northwestern lost like their last 4 games. And the joke that we had was that Ohio State beat Northwestern 5 times because Northwestern just wasn't the same team after that. So I wonder if the Raiders have just lost their last couple games to the Chiefs in this case.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. That's a fair analogy.
It's a terrible one, but it's fair.
Yeah, fair enough. But excited to see what happens here, man. This is coming down to the wire. A couple of games here on the noon slate. Really coming down to it. Like I mentioned, the Saints and Falcons only separated by 5. Lions and Bears separated by 4. Raiders and Jets separated by 4. A 1-possession game for the Jaguars, who have the ball. They're down by 8, and they are driving. The Colts and Texans are within 6 points, and the Colts are about to punt, so under 3 minutes. So
is there
lots of good games.
Is there any word on AJ Brown? Like, I know it did not look good, but it just happened today. But has anything come out?
He came back. He fumbled out of the end zone later in the game.
Oh, sure.
I heard he's kind of favoring the ankle, but he's back in. Yeah.
I thought he popped something when I first saw it.
That sounds dangerously like a fantasy football question.
Yeah, was that a fantasy football question by chance?
No, I just know we have them coming up on the schedule, so I didn't know if he was like out or what.
Gotcha. You're trying to prepare. I like it.
Oh, he's got a voodoo doll in the background.
Oh yeah, I'm having the crap out of it right now under this table.
Jeez, you're one of those. You should be a Vikings fan. You're celebrating.
You're the one who brought up a voodoo doll. Can I not go along with it? Next time I'll just say
I'm not a terrible person.
Now you're going to make a Jacob voodoo doll, please, and thank you. Please have that ready for next week. Yes, hit me.
Atlanta's at the 2-minute warning, and they're at the 10-yard line.
Yeah,
or just outside the 10-yard line, so they got a shot here.
Oh man!
And I would love it. I would love to see Taysom Hill have a chance to you have to throw the ball.
Yeah,
first 10 at your 20, you're down by 3. You have to throw it.
You're absolutely
Tyler
correct.
Ervin.
Or just do an 80 touchdown run.
That's what he's good at. That makes a hell of a lot more sense. Hey, I know we've talked a lot about the Packers wide receivers this year. We didn't mention one of the Eagles wide receivers who was a Packer for 10 days. In fact, their leading receiver this year, Travis Fulgham, coming back to Green Bay after he spent 10 days in August. And, maybe it would have been nice for him to stick around. He might have.
I wonder if in a normal year that would have happened. Although it has been interesting, the split for him. Basically, since Alshon Jeffrey came back, Fulgham's played. Yeah, he's had a drop in snaps. He only played 52% of the snaps last week with Jeffrey and everybody coming back. So
right, or Saga Whiteside's there. Who's the other guy that I really like? What the hell's his name? Greg Ward.
They've got a few guys. I mean, like I said, this Eagles roster is talented. There's some players that you're like, you know what? That's a decent player. That's a pretty good player.
You're totally
they just make stupid mistakes and turn the ball over. And against this, that's the other thing. I don't know if I really emphasized it enough, but if you turn the ball over against this Packers team, put 7 points on the board, or more. It's been incredible the way the Packers have done this year off of turnovers and just the way that they take advantage of it's. Oh, this is going to sound yucky, but almost Patriots-esque. The way the Packers take advantage of
this is going to sound yucky. You're not talking to a 2-year-old.
Yeah, can you tell I have a toddler upstairs?
All right, the real question right now. I've seen like 18 polls on this. Who's catching the 400th touchdown today? If we get to that point,
okay. No, Devontae Adams. I think is my answer. I'll go safe.
Yeah. What about you, Jacob?
I wanted it to be Tavon Austin because that would have been hilarious. I laid out my dream scenario that they run that fly motion Tom Brady pop pass thing for a touchdown pass.
There is a possibility he doesn't throw 3 touchdowns today. I don't think any of us expect that.
I'm playing against him in fantasy, so I guess nobody gives a shit about my fantasy team. So,
but they care about mine. I have Adams, and I need him to do well.
I'm serious. I'm picking Jay Sternberger. I think if you look at it, so somebody had it earlier. His 100 touchdown pass, 1 was to Greg Jennings, 100 was to James Jones, 200. This was Zach Cruz that had this earlier. I don't remember who 200 went to. 300 went to Ty Montgomery on a shovel pass.
Nice.
So it's not always
my boy.
Yeah, it's not always like someone that you expect. 200 might have been Devontae. Now that I think about it. But either way,
he's been around for half of Rodgers' touchdowns already, huh?
That's crazy, isn't it?
That is crazy to think.
You guys go ahead and pick somebody, and I'll look that up see if I can find it.
Well, I'm going to go the safe route with Devontae, but I got to make like an outlier pick as well. And since you went the Sternberger route, I'm going to go Equanimeous St. Brown. I've been talking about this guy all year long. He hasn't gotten in the end zone yet because he hasn't really been particularly healthy, but he was utilized last week a little bit more. I think as the Packers heat up and approach the postseason, maybe his role expands a little bit. He is a freak athlete. He's jacked. I mean, he's super quick. I like Equanimeous St. Brown. I think he has really good potential as long as he can stay healthy for Green Bay. So I'll go EQ for my outlier pick.
And per Zach, it was Devontae 200, Ty Montgomery 300. So
interesting.
Well,
Devontae at the time, I mean, if you think back 200 touchdowns ago, I mean, that probably was a team with Jay Sternberger. Probably a team with, gosh, the Falcons are terrible.
So are you at 4
They had a
minutes
3rd
left?
and 2. It turned into 4th and 13 on a running play. So figure that out for me. But you figure that team had Jordy and Randall Cobb and some of those teams. So
the Jets have the ball. The Jets have the ball. It's over.
Great. Raiders, man.
Are you serious? There's a minute 32 left. It's 2nd down. And the Raiders just took their 2nd timeout. The game's over. Jeez. That's unbelievable. Wow. I thought the Jets were like the worst football team we've ever seen.
Still are.
No, we do that. No, they're not. There are teams that actually finished with 0 wins. Those teams are worse.
You think the 07 Lions are worse than the 20 Jets? Because I think I'd take Orlovsky and company to win that football game. No, I would take the Jets. Okay.
And then you add in the Brown. There's that Browns team too.
No, yeah.
I trust Hugh Jackson with my life.
You trust who?
Hugh Jackson.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Did you know he's doing cameos now? Instead of coaching, he is now doing cameos for a living. You send him $50 for him to say whatever you want.
How is a guy that was never a good coach? When was he ever good? He's just friends with everybody.
Then he went to Cincinnati right after leaving Cleveland, and Baker disregarded him. That was an all-time story a few years back.
It's just people trolling Brown fans and like just buying him to say hi to a Browns fan. Yeah. So I'd make a living off that if I could.
I would too. All right, let's get to X factors today between the Packers and the Eagles. Who do you think? What do you think, or who do you think makes or breaks today's game? Jimmy, I'm going to start with you, Mr. Mushbrain.
Yeah, for sure, man. Looked too many IPAs last night. I'm going to go with Kenny Clark in the middle. He's going to be facing the Eagles' best offensive lineman in Jason Kelce. And if he can hold his own in that spot and even continue his impressive games that he's been having. He's had 8 pressures over the last 2 games. He is Mr. December. So I think if he can hold his own and show everyone that he's earned that contract, which I know he already has, but just improving that his play as he has the last couple weeks and just continuing stacking success. But he's going to have the toughest challenge on that defensive line. So he's going to be a key to the success of stopping Miles Sanders.
Jacob, before we get to yours, big news out of the NFC North. The Vikings at 5-6, who are looking to make a final push, just had the Jags down 8, come score a touchdown and convert the 2-point conversion. They are tied with 1 minute and 8 seconds remaining. So expect overtime in Minneapolis. As for the Raiders and Jets, the Raiders do have the ball back with 35 seconds left. So they do have a chance to beat the Jets, who are at 0-11. Trying to stay away from an 0-16 season. The Texans are at the Indianapolis 6, down 6 with less than a minute and a half to go. Bunch of these games going down to the wire. The Saints have gotten the ball back against Atlanta, looking like they'll win that one. And the Bears, 4th and 1 on the Detroit 20, down 4 points with 16 seconds left. So probably the last play of the game. Really the last play for Chicago. Coming up after a penalty or a play is reviewed. It looks like play is under review.
They're reviewing whether or not David Montgomery ran the ball and whether or not he was short. So
gotcha.
If we're in Ohio, he got the first down. If we're in any other state, he was short, much like JT Barrett should have been ruled in 2016.
100%. The Bears, it must have gotten converted because the Lions got the ball and the game is over. The Bears lose. The Lions win in the NFC North.
Bears.
The Bears.
Man, I'm trying to get the Bears to win some games, man. I don't want them getting high picks and stuff like that. Let's keep
let them keep Nagy, right?
Nagy, Trubisky, and Pace.
Wow, what? They had no business losing that game. That's unbelievable. All right, back to X Factors. Jacob, go ahead.
I'm going to go on the X Factor on the offensive side of the ball. It's got to be that right side of that offensive line, Billy Turner and Rick Wagner. I've been talking all week about Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham and their ability to wreck a game. If those guys play well together, then the Packers offense should be able to put up points. If they don't, this game's going to be closer than it really should be. So that's where my two are. I really don't think it's all that difficult after that.
No, that's totally fair. And I think both of those options that you guys picked have been great. I'm going to go with the linebacking crew. How about Preston Smith, Rashawn Gary, Zadarius Smith, all of the above, and obviously some of the other guys that will fit in there, Martin and Kirksey and such. It's been interesting, right? When we saw David Montgomery go for, 57 yards last week, Christian Kirksey looked like he was on the show Lost, and David Montgomery looked like he was running a race around a track because nobody was going to tackle him. I mean, it was bad, right? And we saw Preston Smith last week. Jacob, obviously, you mentioned you expect a big game out of him. He went ahead and scored a touchdown. The fire's been lit under his ass, and that's plain and simple what it is. And he's playing better now, and it's just good to see. So we hope that continues. Rashawn Gary's been having a really nice second year. We hope he continues to do that. The offensive line for Philadelphia, not good. The tight ends, they're decent. The quarterback, he's decent. They're going to look to their tight ends, and some of those linebackers are going to be stuck both in coverage and, of course, rushing and trying to collapse that pocket. So excited to see what that group can do for Green Bay's defense, because I think that will make it between a close game and a blowout, which is what it should be, and I imagine what we expect. So let's not waste any time and get right to it. Jacob, game prediction, score prediction for this afternoon's game.
Packers 41, Eagles 21. I think they block well enough. I think there's plenty of plays to be made in the secondary. If Matt LaFleur is willing to throw the ball oh my God, the Jets ended up losing.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry.
Awesome.
Packers 41, Eagles 21. I think if Matt LaFleur is willing to throw the ball all over the lot, and if there's anything that I've learned about LaFleur over the years, is that he's not a run and first coach. He's not a pass first coach. He's a win first coach. So whatever those matchups are, he's going to try and find those. So I like Green Bay. I like them relatively comfortably.
I like it. I appreciate your confidence. Jimmy, what are you thinking?
Really similar to Jacob's score. I'm going to say Packers. I picked 41, but I want to be the same as Jacob, so I'm going to go down a little bit. Packers are going to score 38. They're going to keep their offense rolling. I think Miles Sanders does have a decent game, but our offense will start being our best run defense. So I'm going to go with Packers 38, Eagles 20.
I like it. I will also take the Packers in a little bit of a route. I will go Packers 38 as well. Eagles 17. I don't think they score that many points. I think the Packers defense steps up and is impressive today. And this is a comfortable game. While you're sitting on the couch enjoying this one, I think this is a comfortable one. And hopefully the start of a few comfortable ones. As mentioned, the Packers have the third easiest schedule, whoever chooses how that works, according to whoever, remaining in the National Football League here in the regular season. So hopefully they can take advantage of that. Stick pace with the Saints, who I believe have officially won. Oh, no, they have not. 4th and 4, they're going to punt. With now they have punted with 27 seconds left. Atlanta takes over with their own 39. So we will see if Atlanta can pull a miracle out of the hat. But other than that, they need to win to stay a game back of New Orleans, who will be 10-2 if they do hang on. So that does it for us. We'll have the post route after the Packer game, taking your calls, breaking down what we saw out of Lambeau Field. Our big takeaways: Aaron Rodgers hopefully making some more history. Devontae Adams hopefully just burning Darius Slay like he's still a Detroit Lion. And all the in-betweens. We'll do that after the game. That's Jacob Westendorf. That's Jimmy Christensen. Gentlemen, always good to be with you. Appreciate you taking the time. And we'll talk to you soon. This has been the pre-snap on Game On Wisconsin.
We 19.